Hi, everybody. Thea and I are so excited to welcome you to another episode of Practical Cosmic Magic, which basically is our intentional tool for helping you understand astrology more and make astrology more approachable. Before this, we did a couple of videos explaining what conjunctions, trines, squares, all of the aspects, what they are, so that you're able to follow along in these videos better. So for this video, we're going to share with you the aspects for March and what's going on in the sky. We're also going to share with you how you may be able to use these in practical ways. Hi, Thea.
Hey guys,
Okay.
everyone. Amazing. So I'm just having my earphones on to make sure we don't have any echoes and reverberations because we have such an interesting month ahead of us. It's the astrological new year. Karina and I are so excited. We're so over 2021. And so over all the retrogrades and all the gunk and goo. And yeah, I think we're just gonna dive right into it and see what comes up.
Let's do it.
All right, you want to start with the first aspects. So Karina and I decided we're not gonna show any slideshows. We're just gonna flow. So yeah, our intention really is to help you guys and be with you, journey with you as we embody astrology. I think that's what we said during our previous videos when we were explaining the conjunctions and the aspects. So here we are. I hope you're not gonna be bored just watching our faces. But yeah, right off the bat, we have a new moon on the 3rd. We have a new moon on the 3rd of March. And of course, we talked about that, or we're going to talk about that in our new one circle. So we'll probably skip the new moon bit and go right on to Sun sextile Uranus. That's like a big transit. You want to share what you're feeling and what comes up for you for that transit?
Sun sextile Uranus. So we have that on the 2nd of March. I feel like that's breakthrough energy, especially with our subconscious realm. Like it also asks, I feel like, what kind of ego shakeups need to happen? What kind of chaos needs to come to our attention for us to finally shift how we're living and how we're living in the 3D? That's what's coming up for me. I feel like it's also just a reminder of the oneness between us and the planet with the North Node in Taurus now that's coming more and more into our attention. And this Pisces energy, I feel like, is just bringing the oneness back into light, I guess. What do you think? How does it feel?
Beautiful. I agree. Absolutely. I absolutely agree, especially as we're um we're energetically ending the retrogrades. Mercury is out of shadow. Venus would by the 4th will be out of shadow, and we have this Sun sextile Uranus where we're really shaking up all the gunk and the goo that um, we've accumulated from not just this year but also last year. And it's interesting that we have that gift for that day, because remember, when planets have sex, that's good for us. So that shakeup is really an opportunity, because come March 3rd, right after that Sun sextile Uranus, we have Mercury conjunct Saturn. So that's another seriousness where we're being asked in terms of like how we're being clear with our communication, how we're being clear with our thoughts. There's a feeling of seriousness where we're being asked by the universe na, hey, you got to sit down and write your plans already, because you're shaking up the past, and it's really time to move forward and time to move on with your plans. March onwards, we don't have any planets retrograde anymore, so it's like go 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 go. But before that slingshot forward, we're being asked to be serious first. That's what I'm feeling with Mercury conjunct Saturn. And on the same day, we have Mars conjunct Pluto. So these are very serious planets, guys. So remember, Saturn in Aquarius is all about what I'm really feeling with Saturn in Aquarius is seriousness, mastery with our craft, mastery with how we're communicating with our groups and associations. And remember, all that retrogrades that we've been having in Mercury and Venus was really a reassessment of our values and our relationships to everything. So now that we've re-evaluated that, what can we put into paper, like putting pen to paper and really making up a plan and making up a strategy with, okay, these are the groups and associations that I'm gonna be with, gonna participate with. How am I gonna participate wisely or responsibly? How about you?
I love that because I'm looking at what I wrote when I was like reflecting and thinking about all these transits. And I wrote, journal about the biggest dream that you have right now. Write down your dreams for humanity and make a concrete plan of ways that you can get there with the help of technology. Because Saturn in Aquarius is really serious, yes, but also helping us evolve and innovate and change. And you know the saying, right, that Saturn is like the father kicking us into where we need to be. And so it's like this Aquarian energy adds a flair to it. It's not your regular father. It's a different kind of father that allows you to go through many different avenues to get to this goal that you maybe have in mind. But I also want to bring it back actually to the second, because we have another aspect on the second, which is Venus trine North Node. And I think that questions what our values and goals look like, and if they're ones that allow us to create a better earth, not only for us, but also for the future generation. And then I think a practical tip as well for the second would be anything grounding, getting back in our bodies, but then freestyling. Like, don't put a structure to it, because remember, that's the same day that Sun sextile Uranus. And so we don't want to put any bounds or any limits, because this is such boundless energy. Come on, we're talking about Aquarius, we're talking about Pisces. When we're talking about Capricorn, that's bounded energy. But then once we like pass this Capricorn energy, it's so boundless. So I think this is a good time to already give a cautionary note that Pisces is really like la 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 la. And so this month, if like you're listening to us right now and not able to follow, that's okay. Give yourself compassion and know that what lands the right way will land, you know, as it should with you, because maybe not all of it applies to you, maybe some of it applies to you. So be compassionate with yourself and take it in a very flowy and receptive way, because that's embodying Pisces energy at its finest. So we talked about the third, which is the new moon, which you so beautifully shared about. Let's move on to the fourth. We have Venus conjunct Pluto, both in Capricorn. How do you feel about that?
I feel this is a closing. This is the third and final Venus conjunct Pluto. I don't have the exact dates, but they conjunct in December. They did again in February. No. They did again in January. And the third and final time is when Venus is direct and really moving forward. So what have you been learning about your values, your relationships since November? How can you, again, Pluto is the destroyer, it's the roto-rooter of the zodiac. You can't, there's no bullshit around Pluto, and I'm saying it as it is. It's this putrefaction process. It's this cauldron of death and rebirth and transformation. The first time that they met, around last year, we had an idea of what needs to be stripped away. And then when they met again, while Venus was retrograde, we were sort of in the middle of it, and we didn't really have clarity of, what we're supposed to be letting go of, but we know that it's feeling heavy. And now that Venus is direct and it has an idea, it knows the story and it's ready to close that story. And that story again started in November. So what's your story? What has been going through for you since November when Venus entered Capricorn? Um, this is the finale of it before Venus enters Aquarius. So yeah, this is actually a big releasing kind of day. This is a day where you can free yourself from not just the past, but you can free yourself from anything that's valuable to you, that you're really supposed to be in alignment with, and everything that's not in alignment with, just it has no space anymore.
I love that. That's so good. Um, that's essentially everything that I wanted to share too. And also as it's an ending, it's also a beginning, because as we know with Pluto, with every death comes a rebirth. And so it's also a question of, okay, now that we're finally here after all of those conjunctions, what kind of values do we need to work harder to integrate? So I think this is also a good day to maybe make a list of your top 3 values and write a way of how you can integrate it into your everyday, because Capricorn likes goals, likes to know and have things down on paper. And so yeah, and then begin today. Know that it's never too early to begin, because with this Pluto energy, I feel like we can also keep putting it off and procrastinating it, because sometimes we don't want to deal with the darkness. But make it easy, make it really easy for yourself. The Capricorn energy might want to make it really challenging, but it's, I don't know, it's bringing me to Virgo energy of realizing it doesn't need to be perfect. Just do it one step at a time, which of course it's bringing me to Virgo energy because we're in Pisces season. And to understand Pisces, you need to be able to understand Virgo. So yeah, that's what I had for that. And then as you were talking, I actually pulled 3 cards. I was looking through the Venus conjunct Pluto and then Saturn conjunct Jupiter, which is happening the day after on the 5th. And what came through was the King of Wands. I'll show the cards. So this is the King of Wands. He's standing for what he is passionate about and what he believes in, and he's standing for it with courage and with strength, and knowing that he has the light within him to light up an entire town. And so this Venus conjunct Pluto energy, I feel like, is what needs to die that's making you feel like you're small, because you're not small. You're not worthy. You are so worthy. Like, how can you be like him? Stand for what you know, stand in your power, and just do it. Like, whatever it is, just do it. Steer away from romanticized ideas, though, or romanticized thoughts. There is always fun in it, so indulge yourself a little bit, but then beware of getting overly romantic with things that may be needing to fall, if that makes sense, because that's kind of like Taurus and comfort zone stuff, right? Sometimes we just wanna hold on to something because we romanticize it in our mind. We romanticize how it makes us feel. And so how can we steer away from the romanticism and kind of just come back to our body, come back to our passion, come back to our drive, and remember what we need to do? Sun conjunct Jupiter, like, come back to our dreams, come back to this expansive energy that lives inside all of us. Yeah, I think that's it for the tarot cards for right now. But then Sun conjunct energy on the 5th is also like really light and dreamy, right? It's lots of creativity and lots of emotions and lots of floating around. And so I think it's so interesting that this is the card that fell out, because it's just so dreamy. And the cups is about creativity, feelings, emotions. And the knight is learning about, or like has just learned about creativity and romanticism. So he's trying his ways, seeing what works for him and what doesn't. So we may be trying our ways also and seeing what works for us and what doesn't, because come the Aries new moon, then we're on a whole new like drive and passion. Yeah, how about you? What's coming up for you with Sun conjunct Jupiter in Pisces?
This is a very beautiful, expressive, imaginative, creative day. Everything that you said exactly. And another juicy aspect, you know, from the beginning of the month, and another opportunity and gift for us to really just embrace the magic and spark within. Because Jupiter is combust. Jupiter is in the heart of it. He's meeting the sun. So the light that we're receiving is being imbued by all this beautiful Jupiter and Pisces energy, and Jupiter rules Pisces. So I think this day on the 5th, after all that Pluto, after all that Saturn transit and aspects, we can really sit down and just allow creativity to flow, allow the downloads to flow, and just really allow ourselves to flow too, not being bound by I'm gonna say mundane responsibilities, or not being pressured, at least for a day. Give yourself that cosmic permission to play, and try to figure out if there's a new medium that wants to express itself and wants to, just wants to express itself.
Yeah, I agree with that. Lots of creative energy and also lots of emotions floating around. I agree with allowing ourselves to just like flow and float and get in there, because that's where the gems are. That's where, stuff can come up. And it's also, how can we allow ourselves to drift into our dream world a little bit more? Like, can you spend a little more time sleeping just to see what comes through in your dreams? Like you said, give yourself that permission, allow yourself, it's not that serious.
Yeah.
And also allow your tears to flow through if that's what needs to happen, because it's a good day of just like cleansing all that water energy. Also, if you're able to get a dip in the ocean, like spend time near the water. And if you don't have that, then maybe get into the bath, spend a little more time in your shower, just spend time near water, because that will remind you of the water within you.
Yeah. Practical tip though, don't sign a big contract on that day. Make sure that you have all the details straight. You may be feeling fairly optimistic, overly visionary. This is an expansive day where we're all going to feel like anything and everything is possible. Yes, it is, but we also live in a 3D reality, so we just allow ourselves to flow into the day, and make sure that we're not signing anything that we're not going to be ready to put a skin on. That makes sense.
Yeah, very practical, very important too. With all this la 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 la, you need some like take care of yourself while you're doing that.
Yeah, take care of yourself, take care of the engagements that you put yourself into. Don't bite more than you can chew. Try not to overindulge. Discernment, balance. We're giving you a cosmic slip to flow, but we're not giving you a cosmic slip to flow into how do I say this? Just
chaos.
Irresponsible chaos.
Yeah. And it's easy for that to happen with this Uranian action this year. So try not to find yourself there. You don't want to find yourself there. And then, okay, so that's good for the 5th. Let's move into the 6th. The 6th is kind of a big day. Venus enters Aquarius, and then 3 minutes after, or very, very soon after, Mars enters Aquarius, and then Venus and Mars conjunct in Aquarius. How do you feel?
This is actually a big day. So the first week of March is a big day for death and rebirth. we die off first. So there's the seriousness, somber, heavy death, but then there's optimism and joy because there's rebirth. And this point is reminding us what was seeded on December solstice, December of 2020, when Jupiter and Saturn met in Aquarius. That 0 degree Aquarius is a big point. There's again the feeling of kumbaya, feeling of new hopes and dreams, hopeful for the future, hopeful for new communities. Now the divine lovers, Mars and Venus, are also meeting there, supporting everything that was seeded in December of 2020. So what was seeded in you? How are you tending to these seeds? How are you allowing your heart to lead while it's being supported by your will and your drive? How is your passion? How is your values being supported by Mars's initiation? Is a big point. And with this Venus conjunct Mars, this is a new cycle. Yes, they met on February 16th, but they were in Capricorn. And when they met in Capricorn, they haven't met with Pluto yet. So that meeting in February was sort of, again, a closing. And then with Pluto, it's a dying and stripping away. And with this new meeting in Aquarius, it's starting a new cycle again. So it's an opportunity to begin again. It's an opportunity to be joyful and optimistic, and really align yourself with community, right? And technology.
Hmm.
What's coming up for you for this day?
Yeah, I feel a lot of that technology, maybe because I've been immersing myself in NFTs and crypto. So I'm really, really feeling like a lot of changes are going to be happening here. I feel like Venus moving into Aquarius shows us a rise of appreciation of beauty and art through technology, which is literally NFTs. I also feel like it's more attention to technological currency, and anything to do with internet and money. And then it's also, how are you standing up for your values even though your values may seem weird? And are you afraid of being yourself because you feel like you may be ostracized? Well, don't worry, there's also a tribe for you where you won't feel ostracized. You don't need to put yourself in that energy to feel like you're not worthy or you can't do anything, because there's always company to make you feel like you can do everything, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. And I
And
think
then
that ties up with the next day. No, please.
No worries. I was also going to say that I feel like Mars brings attention to technology and innovation and insight to how technology may be taking over our lives. And it also allows us to think, though, beyond barriers and beyond boundaries. And it also allows us to think about how technology is allowing us to reach our dreams and fulfill our drive and work through our desires. But then it's also, yeah, how are we allowing it to control our lives? And what kind of values are we putting in for ourselves to make sure that it doesn't take over our lives? Because AI is coming up to the surface like nobody's business. I've heard so much about how people are gonna begin trying to do seminars and stuff on VR, virtual reality, instead of real life. And I see that happening so clearly, especially because of what's been going on with COVID and us realizing we can really just do anything from our houses. But then I also think there's a big cautionary note there, because again, I want to bring it back to like NFTs and the world of Twitter and the world of technology and the world of Discord. You don't know who anyone is. Point blank. Anyone can scam you, anyone can hack you, anyone can control your speech. Like, this is Aquarius, this is Aquarius. And I'm saying this because also on Twitter or on Discord, people have pictures of their NFTs, right? They don't have their pictures anymore. You don't see their faces anymore. And so it may be like a beautiful girl or a beautiful man on their photo, but then you don't know who they are behind the computer. And so I feel like there's a big need to be discerning. and then be discerning after that.
Mm.
Like you can never protect yourself enough. You can never yeah, just make sure that you're safe in this boundless world because it is so boundless. Um yes, and then moving on to the next day, like you were saying, we have Mercury square North Node. How does
Okay.
that feel?
So for me, always when planets square the nodes, it's a choice point. It's a turning point where we have an opportunity to discern, do we stick to the past or do we move forward to the future? But on that day, we're straddling both. Like, I understand past karma, past everything that has been manipulating me to stay into my comfort zone, but also I understand where I need to go. The new value system that I have found myself aligning with after everything that happened to me the past year to this point. And I'm like, okay, where do I go? That's the feeling that I'm getting. It's again holding the tension of the opposites. I see both what's behind me. I also see what's in front of me. And I have a choice point of where I'm going to direct my energies. So there's a liminality to it, especially with our thoughts and how we communicate. So I think we just really have to be gentle with ourselves, come back to the plan, the dreams that we wrote down on the first week of March, and see where we are today. Are we really serious? Do we want to move forward with the future? Or do we kind of want to stick to where we've been?
Yeah. Yeah, I hear that, especially with Taurus and comfort zones. It's loud. It's a loud call to stick to our comfort zones, but nothing worth it comes easy. But also, I agree with you with all of that. And also, how can you communicate with the universe in a way that can up-level your 3D reality? Because that's still possible. Like if we're in the age of Aquarius, anything is possible. And so what are we attuning to? Are we attuning to the higher level stuff or the lower level stuff? And cut yourself some slack. Like every day we're oscillating between those two. So it's totally fine wherever you are. But also remembering that it's always a co-creation with the universe. So if we're in a spot that we don't like you said, it's a changing point. Like get out of it. You don't have to stay there. We also said this in the last video that we did when we were talking about squares. It's like you don't want to be in the square, or you don't want to be in the corner. So get out of the corner, whatever it takes. What I wrote about a practical tip for this is to free write about life right now, how it's going, and then also write about the direction you'd like it to go. But then I think a great thing to do before this is to practice some breath work, to kind of get us in that zone. And what breath work it is whatever you feel comfortable with. And then, yeah, write down how your life looks like it's going right now, how you'd like it to go, and how can you communicate with the divine or the universe or God better to co-create in a way that's more fitting to the life that you want to be living. That's what I have for the 7th. And then on the 10th, Mercury enters Pisces.
Okay, so we have transitions, right? A dying, a rebirth, our personal planets, Mars and Venus, moving to Aquarius, and Mercury moving to Pisces. Again, with the imagination, new medium, creativity. If you allowed yourself to free flow on the 7th, you don't have to have anything structured. Remember, we had that structured first week of March already. So this is an opportunity to recheck. Are we bounding ourselves to the structures and the plans and the strategies that we wrote down in the first week of March? How are we feeling now that Mercury is in Pisces? How can we allow our creativity and our imagination to just, flow us into flow? Is what I'm feeling. That's what I'm feeling in my body for that day.
I like that. It's also like a big, like, welcome to your subconscious. Like, welcome to your subconscious and your unconscious. Are you willing to pay attention? Are you willing to float in? Because there are so many hints in here. So are you going to listen? Are you going to spend time in your dream world? Are you going to just allow yourself, like you said, the boundless energy is big, the bounding energy is slowly melting away. We're going to come back to it, but for now, it's slowly melting away. So, how can we just appreciate that? And also, I wrote, spend time in your dream world and pray, whatever prayer means to you. Pray that you may begin co creating this life that you're dreaming of, because you need to communicate it. And I keep saying it because we forget that we need to communicate. We forget that, okay, we have a thought, okay, this is my idea of what I want to create. And then we forget it because we don't bring it to form. We don't use our throat. We don't use our body. We have it as an idea, and we already know that ideas are floating everywhere right now. So if we have it as an idea for a split second and then we allow it to float, it might be gone. So it's like, remember that, dream that, write that down, and then pray for it, and then work towards it. And then I also feel like this is a thinning of the veil, of course, to communicate with any of the other realms. There is a lot more communication if you're listening. This is also nothing to be afraid of. It could feel a little bit murky or scary or different, which is okay, because usually we're just afraid of the unknown or afraid of what's different. But I think this is a beautiful gift, especially to learn wisdom from our elders, learn from those that have come before us. And even if we can't communicate in a way that's very clairvoyant or clairsentient or clear whatever, float into it. Spend time quiet. You don't even need to meditate, just allow space. And in that space, you'll feel that zone where everything just melts together and everything blends together. And that's the space where you can just hear the subtle whispers of the water, the wind, air, fire, like it's all there. We need just to give it space, which I think very beautifully opens up to the 13th, 313, Sun conjunct Neptune. What is Neptune, Thea, and what does Neptune share with us?
Neptune really for me is consciousness. You also said faith, right? And Neptune right now in that realm of consciousness in Pisces, it's Neptune is the modern ruler of Pisces. So it's very, very comfortable in Pisces. It has no bounds. But what I'm really getting as you were speaking is and I've been trying to get myself off the world stage because it hasn't been peachy. And a lot of transits are showing ominous. It's been ominous. And I feel like this week, the second week of March, is an opportunity for people to show compassion, especially to themselves, show grace to themselves, allow that agape love, and just feel into another and be in another person's shoes. That's what I'm getting here. And with Sun conjunct Neptune, my gosh, sunbathe. Like, and I'm seeing the sunbeams on my body. Just allow sun codes and sunbeams to flow through you, and like just see what comes up without forcing anything. Like Karina said, it's an opportunity for us to connect to other dimensions and other realms. It's open. There is no veil. It for the next days from the 10th up until probably a week after, the veil has lifted. So all of that cosmic light can flow through us. So how can we open our hearts and just really allow that love and allow that compassion to flow through us?
I love that. As you were speaking and as you were saying, as the sunbeams are coming through me, I was shuffling to pull a card and a card just fell out, and the card is deep cellular healing. And she's literally embracing the beams around her and integrating it all. It says Arcturus energy and physical and emotional healing. So just everything that you were explaining. How can you open your heart, come back to like prayer, come back to what makes you spiritual? This I feel like is a spiritual of most all aspects, right? It's an invitation to flow into the water, into the boundlessness of everything. And, you know, if Aquarius teaches us that it's all about frequency, Pisces teaches us that it's all about vibes. How does it feel in your body? How is your aura feeling? How is it landing? And I also feel like this day is a really good opportunity to dream out loud. A really, really good practical tip is to create something in real life to represent your inner dreamer. Get creative, whether it's a poem, a song, a piece of art, like just create something without needing to be a certain way. Surrender to what comes out, and it doesn't need to look nice, sound nice. It just needs to feel good in your body. And that's a way of like physically and emotionally healing yourself. You know, as I was saying this, I just realized that every day that we're living, you know, there are multiple times that we talk down to ourselves or we say like mean things to ourselves, and these build up. And if we're not conscious about them, and if we're not consciously also telling ourselves nice things and complimenting ourselves and kind of bringing ourselves back up, then it's so easy to feel like a victim. It's so easy to feel like we're stuck. It's so easy to feel lost. And, you know, I say this because Pisces season is also about maybe victimizing ourselves and then trying to escape the life that we've only built for ourselves through the vibes that we've allowed into our bodies. And so how can we just have compassion and love, and every day this month say to yourself, I love you. Thank you. I am sorry. I love you. Look yourself in the eyes, hold your heart, and say it. Because if you're remembering to show yourself that love, you're going to remember to show that same love to everybody that you come across every day. And with everything that's going on in the world, I think there is only like good that can come out of that. There's nothing bad that can come out of you looking yourself in the eyes and saying, I love you.
I love you.